Today on the channel, Toy Fair 2026 is now in the rearview mirror, but now we look ahead to the future of the big rubber guys from Collect Major, and today we're counting down my top 10 current most wanted.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 10, a Thursday tradition here on this very YouTube channel, where every single Thursday we count down my top 10 favorites of something or possibly someone. And today we're back to another most wanted video as I'm counting down my top 10 most wanted big rubber guy figures from Collect Major. Now, Toy Fair 2026 just happened. It's in the rear view. We got a lot of announcements of future figures coming up for pre-order sometime in 2026 and beyond. So very excited about a lot of the stuff they got coming out. But now it makes me get my pencil out, and maybe my pen in some instances, and write down my top 10 most wanted. Now, I will do another video about maybe properties outside of wrestling, but this is wrestling specific. These are wrestling characters. And I should put the asterisk here. Of course, I'd love to see a big rubber guy's Ultimate Warrior. We know that is currently not possible because he's part of a WWE Legends deal. So when I do this countdown, I'm talking about guys that aren't part of WWE Legends deals. They're not available to Collect Major, so I'm not going to put them in there. So when you're doing your list, try to think of that. Try to be realistic as you can be with this list here is what I'll tell you. And you should know a lot of the characters that are dancing all out there, part of other properties, other third-party toy lines that aren't part of the Mattel umbrella currently. So that's the asterisk there. But there's so much talent in wrestling, and there's so many characters I would love to see in the big rubber guy LJN style of figures. And we're counting down 10 here. And as usual, we start at number 10, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being my absolute most wanted. And of course, as usual, once again, this is my list. Put your list in the comments down below. So without further ado, let's kick it off at my number 10 most wanted. Countdown kicks off here at number 10, and number 10 is a true hoss, right out of Texas, of course. Now, this might be on my list and my list only, but once again, it's my list. You guys know how it goes by now. But this one I really want to see selfishly because I'm such a big fan of the family. You guys know Terry Funk, one of my absolute favorite wrestlers of all time. Well, give me a Dory Funk Jr. in the big rubber guys. I don't foresee this happening, I don't think, maybe, because he's not super toyetic, and obviously he's not his brother Terry. Dory had a heck of a career too, but Terry is more remembered in this day and age, as we know. But it'd be cool to get an old school Dory that we could match with our LJN Terry Funk, put those two together, or even another era, maybe an old man Dory. And I would love to see Collect Major do a Terry Funk. Obviously not possible currently, but maybe one day we'll see what happens. But for me, I'd love to see a Dory Funk Jr., and he's coming in, number 10. Next up at number 9, we head to the era of ECW. And this won't be the last time we talk a little ECW on this one here. But I loved ECW, and I'm very excited for the Collect Major Big Rubber Guys ECW line. Now, apparently coming out of Toy Fair, and they've talked about it before on the podcast, the ECW figures will be in stock drop. So you snooze, you lose, they'll go in stock. Got to think they'll have at least 1,000 of these. They'll be somewhat evergreen, but you never know. They could sell out really quick. So more on that, but I think sooner rather than later. It sounded like Tommy Dreamer might be on his way first. We'll see what happens, but I'm very excited for that ECW line. There's a lot of great opportunities, and one of the key opportunities right here, which definitely has legs and has possibilities. I don't know if it's on their radar. Somebody needs to tell them, but coming in at number 9 is one of the greatest tag teams in ECW history. It is the Eliminators, John Kronus and Perry Saturn. You guys know me. Perry Saturn, personal friend, babysitter to my kids, that one fateful WrestleMania. Perry Saturn at all-timer. I'll never forget that. I always kind of just giggle at spending a whole day with Perry Saturn and him watching my kids. This is a wild story, but Perry needs more figures. We do know Figure Collections has him coming sooner rather than later. I'm hoping that means some of these other third-party companies will get at Perry Saturn. But John Kronus has been flapping in the wind for a long time. Obviously, John Kronus has since passed away, but it'd be great to have a figure of him from the big rubber guys. I'm not sure how hard it is to get a hold of his family to get this one done, but this would be perfect for that ECW line in the future. One of the greatest tag teams ever in ECW, as I did mention. So My selection for number 9 is the Eliminators. Feeling great at number 8, and we're taking number 8 to the extreme, much like we did at number 9, and we're talking about the icons of extreme at ECW. We're going to the Sandman. Yep, we're entering the Sandman. Now, there is a little bit of fuzziness with this because does he have a Legends contract? He says he doesn't. We're seeing figures from Zombie. We're seeing figures from Grapplers and Gimmicks. And we also have seen figures from Collect Major in their Major Bendy's line. So it gets a little murky with the Sandman, but a guy that would fit perfectly, obviously, in their ECW line. Would love to see the Sandman represented. I could see him holding the beer, maybe a garage beer. They could do a tie-in with that possibly. And then he's got the cane up there, the Singapore cane, ready to go, ready to take on everybody with that kendo stick, ready to do whatever he needs to do. Just would be awesome in Big Rubber Guy style. And that's what's coming in at number 8 for me. It's the Sandman. Up, we're at number 7, and number 7, maybe we step into the future. I don't know if you guys saw some of the coverage from Toy Fair, maybe on this channel or somewhere else. Toy Fair 2026, they did announce the Warlord coming to the Big Rubber Guys, an all-timer if there ever was one, and honestly, my dad's favorite wrestler back in the day. So I might have to grab one of these from my dad along the way when it does officially drop. But it looks like they're stepping their toes into the 90s. Have to imagine we got more characters from the 90s coming. And I think this one would work really well in the Big Rubber Guy style. He had a Hasbro once upon a time. Who are we talking about? Well, we're talking about old Steve Kern. We're talking about Skinner. So the legalities of Skinner, they'd probably have to call him Steve Kern, or maybe they call him Gator possibly, or something like that. But I feel like you could make him in the look. You got some chewing tobacco running down his mouth or something. I think Skinner would be a fun one. A bit of a deep cut, but for a whole generation, they remember that Hasbro. They remember him being on TV. And heck, others remember him before his time as Skinner. But we don't get Steve Kern figures, really. I mean, what did we get, an AWA one once upon a time? Is that it? I'm trying to think outside of the Skinner Hasbro. Have we got any more of that? So this would be something different. This would be something new, something fresh, and I think would work really well in the Big Rubber Guy style. So number 7, we're going to Steve Kern. We're going to Skinner. Countdown rolls on at number 6, and number 6, once again, we keep our toes in the 90s. We keep our toes from the old Hasbro days. Number 6 is an all-timer. We got him coming in Big Rubber Guys with his brother Raymond, of course, the Rougeau brothers, but we're looking for Jacques Rougeau this time around as the Mountie. Now, you probably can't call him the Mountie. You just have to call him Jacques Rougeau. Maybe you could put him in the outfit, but not the hat, and you can put the hat in the package behind him or something, maybe to dance around some of that Mountie bias they have. Todd, what is up with that? You're Canadian. What's going on? These Mounties don't like figures of themselves? It's a wild thing. Fill me in later is what I'll say. But would love to see Jacques Rougeau as the Mountie. Would be very, very cool to see that one. Even the Quebecers, possibly. I think that's a way around the Mounties a little bit. You could call them the Quebecers, just like we saw Grapplers and Gimmicks do with that one. We got PCO part of that. Would love to see that in the Big Rubber Guy style. And I think there is a possibility of that with him being a current Big Rubber Guy with the Rougeau brothers. Pre-order going on right now. So if you're after that, head over to Collect Major. But we're going to the Mountie. Number 6. We hit the halfway point of the countdown. You got your list together. Put it in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel while you're at it as well. But here we are, we're at the halfway point. You guys know me. I'm a sucker for a Texan. I'm a sucker for a Western shirt. I'm a sucker for a cowboy. And number 5 fits the bill on all these one time or another. Number 5, Stan the Lariat Hansen would be amazing to pair up with the Bruiser Brody figure. There's a lot of incarnations of Stan Hansen, and mostly looks the same throughout his career, but you got his Japan time, his WCW time, his no holds barred time, or his time with Brody and all points in between. Any look is welcome, and most looks are going to be very similar, but I'd kind of like to have the one with the chaps on. You know, I'm a sucker for chaps, Todd McFarlane. Put the vest, give us the cowboy hat, maybe the cowbell in one hand, and then he's putting up the old hook 'em horns up in the air. That would be pretty awesome to pair that right next to Bruiser Brody. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I would love to see a Stan Hansen Big Rubber Guy. He comes in, number 5. Next up, we're at number 4, and Todd McFarlane, number 4, I'm cheating. It's my list. I could cheat if I want to. Now, I don't like cheating in these lists, and I think it is a bit of a cop-out, but I'm doing it, so I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. But number 4, we got to have some more Horsemen, and I'm going to lump them together. We've had Ric Flair, we've had Tully Blanchard, we've had Arn Anderson times 2 now, but we need some more. We want to be able to pair out these Horsemen, and here's some of them I would like to see that we have a possibility to get. First off, J.J. Dillon, manager of the Horsemen. We got Paul Ellering. Maybe they could rework some of that body mold, possibly. who knows what they could do. But I would love to see J.J. Dillon. I would love to see Ole Anderson. That's probably a stretch. I know Ole was on the outs pretty hard on his way out of life, I guess. He did pass away a couple years ago, but he burned a lot of bridges, as we do know. But I don't know how hard it would be to get a hold of his family to get something like this made. But Ole Anderson, a guy, have we ever got an Ole Anderson figure? He was a huge, huge part of the business. And even me as a little kid, when he helped the Horsemen turn on Sting, that was a wild thing. So definitely do an action figure, hopefully one of these days. Would love to see it in the big rubber guys. And then the one I have to imagine is going to happen is Barry Windham. And they could do multiple looks of Barry Windham. You could do time in the Horseman. You could do later as kind of the stalker cowboy Barry Windham. Would love to see him with the claw. There's a lot of options for Barry Windham, so I would love to see him as well. Now, obviously, I think they're going to do Paul Roma. I don't know if I need a Paul Roma Horseman. I need a Power and Glory Paul Roma, and I think we're going to get that in the future. It's kind of been talked about. They got Hercules already. I would love to see Sid, but we know Sid's got a Legends contract. Sting, we do got an AEW Sting coming, which really you could almost fit in the Horseman, so that one already kind of takes place of that. Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, I don't see either of those happening anytime soon. Maybe Dean before Chris, but I don't see Chris Benoit ever happening. And who am I missing from the Horsemen? Am I missing anybody off the top of my head? Tully, Arn, Flair, obviously, JJ, Ole, Paul Roma, Sid, Benoit Malenko, Brian Pillman. They can't do that right now. He's part of Mattel, so that won't work either. I think that's it. That's good enough right there. But number 4, we're talking the Horsemen all together. Hopefully some of these happen. I fully expect Barry Windham sometime announced this year or even released this year. But we'll see what ends up happening there. That's number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Getting down to the end of things, we're at the number 3 selection. Number 3 is one guy that missed the LJNs, missed Hasbro, missed Classic Superstars. It wasn't until, I believe, Zombie Sailor first coming out with a figure of him. And then at Toy Fair, Zombie's got another figure of him coming out. But this is one that desperately needs to be done. Would be amazing to pair up with the Rougeos. And I always thought as a kid, if there was 6-man title belts like we had in NWA, WCW, if they had that in the WWF, I think these guys would have probably been a champion, a 6-man tag champion managed by Jimmy Hart, of course. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Dino Bravo, the Canadian strongman. It's definitely overdue. Would love to see that one here. Feels like a layup and feels like Zombie has pretty good connection and back and forth with the Collect Major guys. So I think he could pass that phone number on if he want to, and doesn't really compete in their form factor styles. I get it. I know it. I'm a businessman first. Everything's competition. Stealing that from Todd McFarlane. You stole it from me, actually. Everything's competition, but I think they could work that one out. But I would love to see Dino Bravo as a big rubber guy, and he comes in number 3. Near in the top spot, we're at number 2. Doesn't get much closer than that, but number 2 is a personal preference once again, and I think is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. And this guy has definitely got his flowers, but his matches in the 90s for All Japan Pro Wrestling were another level. And when I used to tape trade with a guy in Japan back and forth, we would trade tapes from stuff, and I would get All Japan. I always looked forward to seeing the Dr. Death Steve Williams content, and Dr. Death is who's at number 2. An all-timer, if there ever was one. I love all eras of Dr. Death. I was so excited when the WWE Network put up UWF stuff, so I got to go back and see some of that stuff finally. His time in ECW, brief. His time in WCW, the NWA, was absolutely amazing. There's so many different looks I would like to have for him. I would love to see a big rubber guy with the full-on, like, boxing sweatsuit, whatever you want to call that, the hood and everything. I don't know if that'd be as toyetic, but anything I could get of Dr. Death would be great. Now, I know Dr. Death's had some peg warmers of the past, but just last year, Epic Toys released one of the best retro figures of all time with Dr. Death. So, man, oh man, I can just imagine what a big rubber guy would look like. Get me Terry Gordy, have the Miracle Violence connection, and oh, life would be sweet. But we'll see what happens. But Dr. Death, a strong number 2 for me. Here we are. We've hit the number 1 spot. My number 1 most wanted big rubber guy coming after Toy Fair 2026. What do I want to see the most? Be interested to hear your list as well, so put it in the comments. And as I always say, subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss one of these videos. But here we are at number 1. And number 1, we've had a few figures as of late. We've got more figures lately than really ever before. A guy that has not had enough figures, if you ask me. And he's never had this style of figure. And I think this could be done. And I think there's a lot of meat on the bone on this one here for variant editions for the Collect Major guys so they can get the most out of their molds. Who's number 1? Well, we're going to the Butcher, but not just any Butcher. We're going to Abdullah the Butcher. I want to see that. I want the headdress. I want the fork in his mouth or his hand. Put him in black, put him in red, give him the shoes, And then, of course, you can get the bloody variant. So they do a red version, red trunks, red tights, I guess is what it'd be. Genie pants, how about? In red. And then you do a black one with the black trunks, tights, whatever, genie pants. And then you do that as the bloody version. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I would love to see Abdullah the Butcher. He just screams to be in that style. I think would be amazingly toyetic, would pair amazingly with Bruiser Brody once again. I think there's a ton of meat on the bone here. They could even have him as part of the Extreme set if they wanted to. There's a lot of places he could go, and I think would be absolutely toyetic and definitely could possibly be a Figure of the Year candidate if they do it up like they probably will end up doing it up. So maybe not my favorite wrestler of all time, but when I think of how cool the figure would be, this one takes the top spot for me. So Abdullah the Butcher, my #1 most wanted collect major big rubber guy figure. And once again, I ask you, put your list in the comments down below and subscribe to the channel. Check out Patreon, YouTube channel memberships for even more content. Sir Paul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com, which is the name of my podcast each and every Tuesday, wherever podcasts are found with videocast on YouTube. So for the top 10 most wanted big rubber guys, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?